So everyone, welcome to another camera comparison. Today it's at the end of October 2025. Insta360 released the X5 version. I think it was in April this year. So here it is in Arctic white, super nice colors. I've been using this camera already now for a long time. And today is the day, you probably see that video in 1 week or so, that Insta360 has released their new version, that is the Insta360 X4 Air. As you can see, it's smaller, it's lighter, and when it comes to video, there are some differences that I'm going to explain in this video. So now let's get started. So first of all, let's speak about the X5 and its specs. So it's available in two different colors. I've been using the white version because I think it's quite sexy. It has a 1/1.28 inch sensor. It weighs 200 grams, so you can feel it's a bit more heavy than the X4 Air version. So if we compare both cameras side by side, you can tell the lenses are a bit bigger here on the X5, a bit smaller on the X4 Air. When they're in the hand, you don't really feel the difference because they have the same width. But when it comes to height, as you can tell, the X5 is a bit bigger than the X4 Air. You do have a tripod thread here on the lower side, which you can use for the invisible selfie stick, which is also available in two different colors. But both of them will be ignored by these two cameras. So if you have a black camera with a white selfie stick, it will ignore that selfie stick as well. And on the bottom of the selfie stick, you do have a tripod thread as well. They do also extend, by the way. It makes a lot of sense to get one of these because they are super cheap and the real fun starts with these selfie sticks. So make sure to get one, and they are available in some bundles as well. We have two buttons here at the front side, one to switch inside the camera's menu. And if you think, why do I need to do that? Because I can do that using the app, or I can use that using my fingers here on the screen. But when you're underwater, that does not work. And if you wear big gloves, that does not work either. So you need this button here to change inside the camera menu. But on the X4 Air, I figured out that you can also use the Q button to change between different modes. We do have a bigger battery on the X5 with 2400 milliampere hours, and you can go diving with the X5 down to 15 meters, and with the diving case that you can get separately down to 60 meters. While the X4 Air, if I have it in my hand, it feels already super light with 165 grams only. It's also available in two different colors. So this one here is the black version, and the white version will look exactly the same as the X5. It has a smaller camera sensor, 1/1.8 inch, so it's a bit smaller than the X5. We do have also a tripod thread on the lower side. We have only one button here on the front side, and the battery has a capacity of 2010 milliampere hours. And you can also dive down to 15 meters and probably down to 60 meters by getting the extra housing. So when it comes to video, both cameras shoot in 8K with up to 30 frames per second. With both of them, you can shoot in a log profile if you want to do color grading in post. While on the X4 Air, I figured out that I can record in HDR in 8K with 30 frames per second, while on the X5, that is only possible in 5.7K, but with 60 frames per second. HDR stands for high dynamic range, so if you have a lot of light and a lot of shadows and you want to get the same amount of contrast, that's the mode to go with. But therefore you have to switch off adaptive tone inside the camera's menu. The X4 Air shoots in 6K with up to 50 frames per second, and the X5 in 5.7K and 5.7K plus with up to 60 frames per second. And while I was using them yesterday, I figured out that the maximum frame rate, which is possible on the X4 Air, seems to be 50 frames per second, and it really doesn't matter in which mode I am. So in a 360 degree, you don't get 60 frames per second, and you have also slow motion on the X5 X5 with up to 120 frames per second in 5.7K, and there's no slow motion here on the X4 Air. But if you want to shoot in a single lens mode, the typical action view mode without 360 degrees, that's possible in 4K with up to 60 frames per second on both versions. You do have a dashcam mode, which allows you to place the camera in your car. You can tell the camera for how long the camera should record, let's say the last 30 minutes or always the last 50 minutes or 2 hours whatsoever, and you get a date and a timestamp on your video. So in case anything happened, you see exactly at what time, at what day, and you can see in a 360 degree space what has happened. That's pretty cool. Then there's also a selfie mode on both cameras. So if you hold your invisible selfie stick in a 90-degree angle towards you, the camera films yourself without the selfie stick, and it kind of gives you the perspective that someone is filming in front of you or films you from the side. Pretty amazing. And new to the Insta360 X5 when it was released this year was the Insta360 Frame mode that shoots on the X5 in 5.7K with up to 30 frames per second. It reframes the video in a vertical video in 1080p with up to 30 frames per second also. And the nice feature about this mode is that you can put your camera on this invisible selfie stick, extend it, and the camera always keeps you in frame. So there's no need for post-editing. And then you get a spinning effect that you can use by using one of these icons on the screen. And there's also a rotation mode, so the camera films in a 360 degree mode for a few seconds, and then it exports that video exactly without any post editing. And you can also adjust the field of view, so if you think that you are too far away, you can adjust that by using the slider inside that mode. The great thing about a 360 degree camera is that you don't necessarily need to shoot in a 360 degree format. You can also use the single lens mode, and as I said, that is possible to shoot then in 4K with up to 60 frames per second here on both cameras. And you can pre-select if you want to have that video in a 9:16, 16:9 or 1:1 format. Inside the single lens mode, you have FreeFrame video. That means the camera is using its entire sensor, it's shooting a video, and you kind of have that frame displayed on your screen. Inside that mode, you can see what would happen if you export this video now either in a portrait format or in a landscape format. And later on in post, you can say, I would like to use that video now for YouTube, so I would use that in a landscape format, or I would like to upload that to TikTok or Instagram in a portrait mode. And that's possible in 4K with up to 30 frames per second on both cameras. Me mode on the Insta360 X4 Air 4K 25. Extended, and you're listening now to the internal microphone of the Insta360 X4 Air here in a good old German forest during fall. Winter season starts, and I'm pretty lucky that the sun is shining today. And yeah, 8K 25 by the way. Single lens mode, recording myself in 4K 25, now in 16:9. And that's once again the internal microphone here on this beautiful day in Germany. It's quite windy today here at the end of October 2025 in Cologne. And that is the internal microphone of this camera, recording myself in 4K with 25 frames per second. The next topic is about photos. So if I'm here in the single lens mode on the X4 Air, I can shoot in a 9:16 format, 16:9 or 1:1 format with up to 14 megapixels. I can set my field of view beforehand. I can shoot in pure photo. I can select the field of view beforehand, and just let me think very quick if we have RAW. We do have RAW as well on the X4 Air, but the maximum resolution in a single lens mode, 14 megapixels. While if I want to take a 360 degree photo, that's possible with 29 megapixels. Big difference, the X5 shoots with 72 megapixels in a 360 degree space, while if I want to use the single lens mode, So if I just want to take a photo of myself or the landscape, that's possible with up to 36 megapixels. So for all content creators out there, I have some gadgets that I can highly recommend. So one of them is this great looking power bank here from Anker. It's available in 2 different colors, 165 watts total output. We have one USB type A port on the side, one USB type C port on the side, and 2 cables are included. One on the top, 70 centimeters long, 100 watts, and the other one supports also 100 watts and is 30 centimeters long. I use this power bank to charge my MacBook because I'm doing quite intense stuff with it. So if I do photo and video editing, it drains a lot of my battery, and I can charge both of these cameras at the same time, my phone, and I can do a lot of reframing in the Insta360 Studio app on my MacBook Pro without actually using its own battery. So that means less cycles, less costs, and more lifespan for my expensive MacBook. This power adapter, same company, 2 different colors, 140 watts, 3 USB-C ports, 1 USB-A port, a touch interface at the front. And of course you do also need a micro SD card. I would take at least 256 gigabytes. My recommendation in the video description below. I've also used a 512 gigabyte card, which allows me to take more than 13 hours 8K 25 frames per second on the X5. And last but not least, get an invisible selfie stick to get everything out of your 360-degree camera. Preferable the 3-meter selfie stick, which is also available using the accessory link in the video description below. So this stick extends to 3 meters and it kind of gives you these super cool looking shots. Let's continue with low light. On the X4 Air, I haven't seen any specific low light mode. So if there isn't any low light mode on the X4 Air, make sure to use a lower frame rate while shooting during hours of darkness. I would take maximum 30 frames per second to get the best result. While on the X5, we do have pure video, and that is the low light mode from Insta360. And that's how it looks like. Quite impressive to me, to be honest, and much better than on the X4 Air, which has no low light mode. Next topic is TimeShift, so the hyperlapse mode from Insta360. It's possible to record in 8K with up to 30 frames per second here on both cameras. You can leave it in auto, and later on, after you're done shooting, you can accelerate the video with the desired speed. So let's say 2x, 5x, 10x or 20x without audio. So if you need a bit of acceleration in your video because the walk through the park was just too long, make sure to do so. Put some nice music on it, and that's it. Time lapses are possible with both cameras as well. Shooting in 8K on the Insta360 4X and in 11K on the X5. Unfortunately, you cannot tell the camera to use 25, 50 or 60 frames per second for that time lapse. That's only possible with 30 frames per second. I love time lapses and I hope you do as well. Quite impressive, and you can do a lot in post using the free Insta360 app and Studio version for Windows and Mac. So I went already home, transferred all the files onto my computer. That is quite easy. Just connect it with a cable and say data transfer on the Insta360 screen. Just make sure to turn it on. And then you see some files like these ones here. So if I drag and drop them into the software, you can see it's just a video. If I use the info screen, that video was recorded in 4K with 25 frames per second. If I use the time and the water stamp, that's also possible. I recorded this video on the 27th of October 2025 at 15:41. If that matters to you, I can use different audio settings here with noise reduction or focus on my voice. And of course, I can adjust the brightness, I can adjust the highlights, the shadows, the contrast, black, saturation, dynamic, and the color temperature. Super easy to use in post, Motion ND. Also nice feature if you walk, and that makes sense if you use a TimeShift video. And once you're done, hit export and then make sure to select where you would like to save that video. make sure to use a high bitrate, minimum 150 for the best video quality. You can go up to 200. And that was just a normal video. So let's drag and drop a 360-degree video into the Insta360 Studio app. As you can see, I can just use my mouse to go through that video, and later on in post, I can set the important things in my video. So let's say this kind of scene was important to me, set a keyframe right here. Let's jump to the next scene. Let's say in this scene, I would like to show this kind of area here. I zoom in only with my mouse, so I don't use any commands on my keyboard here. I can set a keyframe right here. Let's jump to the next scene where I would like to film myself, or where I would like to view myself. Set another keyframe and then just hit the play button, which is just the space key on your keyboard. Let's see how it looks like. See, we're jumping now to the next keyframe where I wanted to show this area of the video, and then I'm jumping back to myself, and that's super easy to use. Export, and now that's a bit of different story. If you like to do what I have done with the keyframes in a different software like DaVinci, Premiere Pro or Final Cut, make sure to hit 360-degree video export, set the maximum bitrate for a better quality. If you just want to export this video now in 4K, select video, choose a high bitrate for a better quality, and then say export. That's it. And now let's continue with my summary. So the X4 Air came out today. It's available in 2 colors. It starts at 399 euros here in Germany. And I would get the extra version with the invisible selfie stick. I think it's about 429 euros, while the X5 starts at 570, 580 euros here in Germany. And if you want to get some extras like a spare battery, a selfie stick, you have to choose a different bundle. So the Air, of course, is more compact, it's light, the lenses can be changed, by the way. The battery capacity is at 2010 milliampere hours, so slightly less than on the X5. So when it comes to recording video, keep that in mind. With both cameras, it was easy to shoot 45 minutes plus in 8K with 25 frames per second, by the way, but slightly longer here on the X5. I did notice that on the X4 Air, we do not have a webcam mode. We do have a dashcam mode, but not a webcam mode. So if you want to place this camera on your conference desk to film in a 360-degree space and let everyone talk, I did not see that mode, but on the X5 it's there. Higher frame rates when it comes to video here on the X5 with a slow motion. But we do have 8K with HDR on the X4 Air, but not on the X5, only in 5.7K, but with 60 frames per second. 29 megapixels with photos on the X4 Air and 72 megapixel photos on the X5. That means also for time lapses 11K and 8K on the X4 Air. In general, I would say during the day, and that's my personal opinion, I find the colors more natural on the X4 Air. So when I filmed myself, it kind of looked more natural, while it looked a bit more cooler on the X5. I know that I can adjust the white balance, but I took these shots straight out of the cameras without doing any post editing, and I like the colors more on the X4 Air. It was a different story when it comes to low light, where the real strength comes out here of the X5. Much better performance, pure video, and also using the single lens mode we have also pure video and a much better performance than on the X4 Air. So if you want to shoot 360-degree videos and you don't care about low light, get the X4 Air, compact, just 165 grams, easy to put in the pocket. Invisible selfie stick, nice photos, lower megapixels though. And if you want to get the maximum out of your 360-degree camera, more frames per second, better for low light, also in 2 colors, get the X5. By the way, Insta360 has, in my opinion, one of the best apps when it comes to 360-degree editing. Super easy to show around, great interface, always up to date, and easy to use. So which camera will you get? Did I miss anything that was important to mention? Make sure to leave a comment below. Which color do you prefer, the white or the black version? See you here next time on the Daniel Life. Ciao.